Welcome back to this week's episode of Agapé Kids. We hope you enjoyed last week's episode where we learned about the book of Leviticus.
In today's episode, we're learning all about the book of Numbers.
Are you ready? Let's start. Woof, woof.
Yay!
The book of Numbers tells us how the Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years.
40 years?
Yes, the reason God kept them in the desert for so long was because they had failed the tests of endurance, kindness, good decisions, and faith that God tested them with.
Oh, that was a lot of tests to do, eh?
There was also a very long list in this book, like lists of how many people there were in the nation of Israel.
How many people?
Yes.
But there were a lot of
Yes,
people.
and that is why it is called the Book of Numbers, because there's lots and lots and lots of numbers in the book.
I thought Book of Numbers was like 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, it's not really like in school, but you're very close.
Oh, but tell me, how long was it again that the Israelites were learned about endurance?
It was 40 years. They were very old.
Yes.
The Book of Numbers shows us how God wanted to make the Israelite people strong, but they didn't want to listen to God, and they complained to God the whole time.
That's not a nice thing to do.
So, God let them walk in the desert for 40 years before taking them to the promised land to first make them ready to live there. Numbers was written about 1,400 years before Jesus was born,
That's a long time.
just like Leviticus. And it was also written by Moses.
Moses again?
Yes, just like the other first 3 books of the Bible.
Oh, Moses. He wrote a few books. It's only Moses.
Next week we will learn who wrote the next book. But the biggest message of the Book of Numbers is that God is a God of perseverance. It means He does not give up.
A God of perseverance?
Yes, Ginger.
He does not give up.
Never. God will do things as long as it takes.
Okay, so we must also have perseverance and endurance.
Yes, that way we will be more like God. So, Numbers is the 4th book of the Bible, tells us how God led the Israelites in the desert, and teaches us that God is a God of perseverance.
Oh, he's still a good God.
Okay, boys and girls, it is time for this week's memory verse. This week's memory verse is in Numbers 6 verse 24 to 25. May the Lord bless you and keep you safe. May the Lord make His face shine on you and be kind to you. Today's memory verse is a blessing that Moses spoke over the people of Israel. And we as Christians still use this blessing to pray over each other. Even though the Israelites complained to God, He still wanted to bless them when the time was right. Okay, boys and girls, now that you know what the verse means, let's all say it together. 1, 2, 3. May the Lord bless you and keep you safe. May the Lord make His face shine on you and be kind to you. Excellent, guys. Remember this verse as we learn about the book of Numbers.
The Book of Numbers has 3 popular Bible stories. God punishes Aaron and Miriam for speaking bad about Moses. The 12 spies go into the promised land. God punishes the Israelites for worshipping a false god. Today's Bible story is the one about the 12 spies. After leaving Egypt, the freed Israelite slaves moved through the desert on their way to the land God had promised them. As they approached Canaan, they stopped in the wilderness of Zin. The Lord told Moses to select a leader from each of the 12 tribes to go and spy out the land ahead. Moses chose a leader from each tribe. Moses told them to find out whether the people in Canaan were strong or weak. How big were their towns, and were they fortified? Was the soil good or poor? He also asked them to bring back some of the fruit from the land. The 12 spies set out from Kadesh Barnea through the Negev desert, where the Amalekites lived, then up into the hill country. They saw very tall and strong people who were descendants of Anak. They moved north through the hill country, where the Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites lived, and then around the river Jordan and Lake Galilee, where they saw Canaanites. The towns and cities were large and well fortified. They went as far as Rehob before turning back and retracing their steps. When they reached the valley of Eshcol, they cut off a branch bearing a single cluster of grapes. 2 of them carried it on a pole between them, along with some pomegranates and figs. After 40 days, they returned to their camp. They reported, "The land does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruit. But the people who live there are powerful, and the cities are large and fortified." One of the spies, Caleb, silenced everyone and said, "We should go up and take the land, for we can certainly do it." 10 of the spies disagreed. "We can't attack these people. They are stronger than us. All the people we saw are huge. Compared to them, we seemed like grasshoppers." That night, the Israelites grumbled and wept. They complained to Moses and Aaron, "Why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to die in battle? Our wives and children will be captured." They started planning to choose another leader and go back to Egypt. Moses and Aaron fell face down in front of everyone. 2 of the spies, Joshua and Caleb, stood up and said, "The land we explored is exceedingly good. The Lord will lead us into the land flowing with milk and honey, and He will give it to us. Don't rebel against God or be afraid. The Lord is with us, not them." Just as those listening were muttering about stoning Joshua and Caleb, the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting. The Lord told Moses, "How long will these people refuse to believe in me, in spite of all the miracles I have performed among them? I will strike them down with a plague and destroy them, but I will make you into a stronger nation." God told Moses He would punish their rebellion by keeping them in the wilderness for 40 years, 1 year for each day the spies had been in Canaan. The 10 spies who brought a bad report died of a plague. Only Joshua and Caleb survived. They were the spies who trusted in God to keep His promises and give them the land. The rebellious people then changed their minds and decided to attack the Amalekites just north of their camp. Moses said, "Why are you disobeying the Lord's command? This will not succeed." But they went ahead. The Amalekites, held by Canaanites from the hill country, came down and attacked them, and they defeated the Israelites. For the next 40 years, the Israelites wandered around in the wilderness. All those who rebelled against God died. A new generation grew up who were willing to trust God and take the land that God had promised to them. They were under the leadership of Joshua, and Joshua was supported by Caleb.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, and Ruth.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth. To finish off today's episode, we're gonna have a pop quiz. There will be 8 questions, and you will have 20 seconds to answer each question. Let's see how much you remember.
Thank you for joining us today on Agapé Kids for this episode. We hope you've enjoyed learning about the book of Numbers with us. See you next time. Bye, bye, bye.